all the kids that believe this are now flat earthers.
The sun goes down and it just goes to sleep.
We found the causation of believing in a flat earth.
2, 3, 4.
What's up, everybody? It's the STUMIN podcast.
The STUMIN podcast.
Riley's not here, so we're not stupid today.
Nope.
But maybe again soon.
We'll find out.
All right, we're gonna jump in this week. Danny, I was just thinking the other day how actually the reason I thought of it was because of my kids. Yeah, sometimes I think it happens every now and then.
You should try it. Yeah,
it usually hurts.
It's good for you.
It usually hurts. So my kids were just talking about different things and whether or not they were true. Like we have that conversation a lot because they hear a lot of things from their friends.
Yeah,
that just kind of make me go like, what? That's not accurate at all. And so then I was just thinking about the fact that like there are a lot of things we were told as kids that are just absolutely not true.
Totally.
And so I thought we'd talk about a few fun things that we believed when we were kids that now that we're adults, we realize are just that absolutely in no way true. Like one of the like really simple ones that I was told, and like my wife brought it up the other day because I had gum when we were on vacation and we were driving. I didn't have where to put it, so I swallowed it. And she's like, that's going to be in your stomach for 30
years.
And I was like, that you don't still believe that, do you? That's not true. Like, it's not even kind of true.
It'll pass.
And so that made me realize before you share some of yours, like I was born in the 80s and I grew up like I was a 90s kid. And I think this bleeds over even to your generation.
Yeah.
And then like I feel like, I mean, and maybe this is just my parent bias. I feel like this is less true now, but maybe it's not. Maybe we just don't say the same things our parents did and other people do.
Yeah.
I feel like the method for parenting in the 90s was just like, it's annoying to have to tell you why everything is the way it is, or like just to convince you to do things my way. So I'm just going to lie to you to make you afraid to do things, which is probably why millennials have so much stress and anxiety. Like, honestly, they're, so what you got, man? What were some things you believed?
Yeah. Evolution.
I mean, that's fair. There's a lot of things we were taught in school that could go on this list,
but that's probably a different conversation.
Definitely, probably not what we were going for here.
Let's see. So I was like, when I was little, I was pretty gullible. And I ran into like this one magazine thing that had a story about this tribe in Africa. Okay. And I misread that they could run 100 miles an hour. It actually said they could run 100 miles. Like they would run 100, like just run like super long distance.
So
like
nobody told you this as a kid. You were just dumb as a kid.
And I read that it was like 100 miles an hour. And I like took that and believed that. Like,
did you ever argue with somebody about it?
My parents. I was like, hey, I read in this magazine that these guys could run 100 miles an hour. And my parents are like, that's so impossible. And I'm like, no, I read it in the magazine. They know. They saw the people run 100 miles an hour.
That's amazing.
So fun fact, people cannot run. I'll say that.
Fun fact.
If you didn't know,
run.
That like reminded me though of like the Budo Wiener Dog races.
Okay.
Fantastic event. Highly recommend you check it out. It's great.
I've lived here for almost 10 years. I've never been.
Fantastic.
Ever, not once.
But they do like a fastest dog competition that's like any breed open season. And they started using like a radar gun to try to track the speed of the dog instead of timing it. They used to time it, but then they started using a radar gun. So they started by just having a bunch of like little like some elementary school kids just like line up on the line and run. And then they would use the radar gun. And one of the kids clocked 30 miles an hour. And the announcer was like, wow, 30 miles an hour. That's pretty cool. And I'm like,
wait, dude, what?
This kid would have smoked.
NFL players don't run 30 miles per hour.
This kid would have smoked Usain Bolt, and it wouldn't even be close. Usain Bolt's top speed was like just under 25, I think.
That's crazy.
So you'd demolish Usain Bolt.
We just casually in Buda, Texas, have the fastest kid that's ever lived, and it's just kind of like, oh, that's neat.
So I used to believe that there was a tribe that could run 100 miles an hour. Because I misread a magazine and I was gullible enough to hold on to that.
Were you ever told as a kid that if you dig a hole deep enough, you'd get to China?
Yeah.
I definitely
yeah.
believed that one. And like then when you get a globe and you're like, we're not even on the like
You just get in the ocean.
China's not over directly across from us. That doesn't even make sense.
Then I believed you get to Australia because they're upside down.
Yes. Or like
Know your geography, kids.
that's a good one too, because like it is true that if you go to like Australia, the
It's upside
the
down.
moon is upside down.
Right.
But what's not true is that if you go south of the equator, the toilet flushes the other way. Like that's a big
I
one.
never thought about that. One's
Oh
really
man, I
random.
feel like that one came up more than it makes sense when I was a kid. Like, why did we talk about that so much?
It doesn't actually
I
make
don't-
any sense when you think about it. I
makes
haven't
no
thought about it in
sense.
years, but like it doesn't make sense. Why would a toilet flush backwards?
There's like towns along the
Gravity
equator.
works different.
There's like towns along the equator where like you can walk, northern southern hemisphere.
Yeah.
And like people will set up little things where like you pay them and they do a demonstration. And like Mark Rober did a whole YouTube video on this where like they just do a little sleight of hand to make the water spin one way and then the other, a little demonstration. And it's just like you think 10 feet that way, it spins one way, and 10 feet this way.
What happens if you put it on the line? The water
It
just spins
just-
both ways and just blows up.
It levitates.
If you have a toilet on the equator, you better get away when you flush because it's gonna blow up in your
The toilet on the equator is just full of poop. It's just never gone anywhere.
How do we like every podcast?
It's always
why do we
poop.
get to? Wow.
Oh, man,
I
that's
used
so
to
good.
believe that like lightning and thunder happened because clouds crashed into each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like the lightning thunder one ends up with a lot of like kid myths about it.
Like that it never strikes the same place
Like,
twice.
like when it rains, the angels are crying, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the classic kid one. Not to go back to poop too quickly, but thunder is God farting. Like those were.
Well-
I don't feel like adults told us those. Those are just kids are stupid and come up with stuff like that.
Or kids grow up to be in their 20s and they're still kids and come up with that.
And it's still funny. And they make podcasts that always talk about food for some reason.
Oh man.
Oh man, one that you and I both talked about as we were thinking on this subject.
Oh, yeah.
is one of the ones my kids argued about recently. That when you have the light on in the back of the car, that's against the law.
You're going to
And
jail.
You're gonna get arrested. Like if your parents have told you that, I'm gonna burst your bubble right now. They don't want the light on and they don't want to argue with you about it. And so they told you it's
You're going
against.
to go to jail.
They're like, I'm gonna you're not gonna have a parent anymore. You're gonna be an orphan because of this law that you've broken. I will be held accountable.
And then it just makes you think like, why would they put the light in there?
Yeah,
If it was
exactly.
illegal.
Yeah. Yes, it makes no sense.
Because you can, like, if you're stopped, like, if your argument is so that when you're stopped and parked, you can find
Yeah.
something. You have a flashlight, like,
I mean, when I was a kid being told that though, like you just didn't have a flashlight on you at all times. But
yeah. But if you're like,
it still makes no. It's still irrational. I think it's just
if
irrational.
you're prepared, you would at least have like a flashlight in your glove compartment, or something like that. So like, I don't know. It's one of those things that like as a kid I would never think about and be like, okay, but as an adult I'm like, that actually doesn't make any sense when you think about it.
It's really effective because it makes the kid like, oh my gosh, I cannot.
Speaking of things though that like don't make any sense that I believed when I was a kid, atheism. Yeah.
Yeah, you really want this to become a theological discussion.
Yeah. But
Oh man, so many things. Drop whatever you believed as a child in the comments, or if we burst your bubble and now you believe something, you no longer believe something because we've told you the truth. Man, ChatGPT came up with some weird ones. Like I asked Chat for some examples just to see if it made me think of, oh yeah, I believed that. Like, so tell me if you believed any of these because some of these are crazy,
like rapid fire.
and I've never heard. The moon follows your car when you drive at night.
no.
No, that's a no for me. The sun goes to sleep when it gets dark.
It's like being a flat earther.
Yeah, all the kids that believe this are now flat earthers.
The sun goes down and it just goes to
We
sleep
found
until
the causation of believing in a flat Earth.
First
it was
you
your
believe
parents.
the sun goes to sleep.
Your parents told you the sun goes to sleep when it gets dark.
And you're like, the Earth must be flat.
Well, where else would it go? Clouds are made of cotton.
Yeah, no.
Airplanes can stop in the sky like helicopters.
Whoever thought that?
I don't.
Like
I
if
don't
you
know.
watch
This
like a
is dumb.
kid's TV show, you'd figure that out. That's wrong. Very quick.
This is crazy. Here's the thunder one. See, thunder is the sound of clouds bumping into each other. Got yours.
That's me.
When you flush the toilet.
So actually,
it goes the other way.
I'll say when I was even like when I was young, what I actually thought, there's more to that thunder one, is I believe that the reason clouds could fly, I looked at like other stuff like planes and helicopters and whatever.
Yeah,
they have an
yeah.
engine, therefore they can fly.
Sure.
So I thought that clouds have like an engine that lets them fly. And so then it's actually when the engines of two clouds bump into each other, there's like a spark of electricity and goes, you know? So that's what because like clouds bump into each other all the time, right? But I was like, it's because the cloud
It's
has
kind
an
of like
engine,
when
a
my wife and I
battery.
are at Walmart and she bumps into me and she shocks me every time. Why is Walmart so full of static electricity?
Well, HEB too.
Really? Because
Yeah.
it's only Walmart for us. Like we can go to literally any other store and it doesn't happen.
The
but-
Kyle HEB does it.
Okay.
It's just got
Built on like an Indian burial ground or something. I don't get it. Like what makes a grocery store different than somewhere else?
But they like they're renovating the Kyle HEB, so they moved everything around. And since they started doing that, I actually haven't had static electricity there.
There was something going on there.
The reason they did the renovations was because they had to move the Indian burial ground remains out.
Are we allowed?
I don't know if we're allowed to say that. But now you know.
We apologize for any offense caused in our ridiculousness. All right, let's keep going. Credit cards have unlimited money. That's not true.
I mean, I believe that.
Checks are free money you just write on paper. What?
But like, yeah,
I could see you coming to that conclusion as a kid because you don't understand how things work. But let's see.
Like as a kid, you're not
This one's actually a good one, and I'll tell you why. If you eat a watermelon seed, one will grow in your belly. And here's why. For a time as a child, I believed that to be true. There is they just did a movie last year, a Christmas movie
where that happened.
about it, and like it's based on a play. I can't think of the name of the play. My church would do this play when I was growing up at Christmas time, and it's about like these kids getting bullied by these other kids and giving them and like one of the things is like, oh, if you eat the seed, then that'll grow, come up out of your ears or something. And I was like, if you eat a seed, it'll grow. And like as a kid, you hear that as like a joke in a play. And then you're just like irrationally like, oh my gosh.
Of watermelons.
It's probably why I don't like watermelon to this day. Cause I'm just like, I don't want that to happen to me.
That'd be rough.
What is this one? This is so weird, dude. If you tell me you believe this as a kid, I will call you a liar to your face. If you eat crusts, I mean like pizza crust, bread crust, like is that what that means?
Bread. It's gotta be bread.
If you eat crusts, your hair will get curly. What?
That's got to be like a ChatGPT hallucination.
Yeah, Chad is.
It just came up with
It is trying so hard at this point. Swallowing
But
toothpaste.
someone's gonna listen to this and they're gonna be like, "Oh no, what have I done?"
They're like, wait, I love crust and oh no. Burps are just air coming from your lungs. Wait, that's I guess it's probably more air coming from your stomach, but
I mean, like, it's not.
I don't think it's like
not that like problematic of a thing to believe.
Oh, here's a good one. Step on a crack, you'll break your mother's back. Everyone did that one as a kid, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not just me. If you make a funny face when the wind changes, you'll stay that way. I've heard like if you make a funny face for too long, it'll stay that way. I've never heard the wind.
If you go cross-eyed too long.
That's definitely one that I've heard. The people on TV can see you too.
I think they call that schizophrenia.
Yeah, Chat's watched one too many creepy movies. That's
that gives a whole new dimension to like horror movies.
That's something weird going on there.
That makes it spooky.
Actors actually get hurt or die in movies.
I mean, they actually get hurt sometimes.
They do actually get hurt sometimes. Actually, the dude that plays Spider-Man, I think he was just in the hospital.
Yeah.
Something that happened.
I think he messed up his back.
Oh, it's bad.
Which is brutal.
Yeah, that is brutal.
Yeah.
teachers live at school. I mean, I think that's a fair rationale for a child to believe.
I mean, you never see them anywhere else.
Grown-ups automatically know everything. Listen, I know a lot of grown-ups that they do not.
I am a grown-up and I don't know everything.
You can read 33. I'm not reading it out loud on the podcast. You're just gonna have to trust me on that one. Your toys come alive when you leave the room. I think Toy Story definitely contributed.
To a mass epidemic of that.
All right. Well, hey y'all, leave yours in the comments. We'd love to know what y'all believed as kids that you now realize is not true. We're gonna shift our conversation. We will definitely keep going on our conversations about our Q&A and answering questions from y'all, but today we're all going to start a different series as well.
A special episode.
There's a book by Rebecca McLaughlin called 10 Questions About Christianity I messed that up badly.
10 questions every 10 should ask.
10
Should we look it up? I forgot it.
I have it on my document here, but I was trying to talk while I looked it up at the same time, and I'm just a doofus. So here we go. It is called...
Wait for it.
It's not on. It just says 10 questions.
Isn't it 10 questions every teen should ask?
Every teen should ask and answer about Christianity. There we go. Got it.
That's it? Okay.
Yes.
That's what I thought it was. Because there's another one.
I may have said it right the first time and I just second guessed myself so much.
It's because there's another book that's geared towards adults more.
Absolutely.
Where this one's geared more towards youth and students.
So I would strongly encourage you to read this book. I think it's really helpful. A lot of good stuff. Tackles some hard cultural things. And I think a really helpful way. But what we wanted to do is just take a chapter a week or a question a week and just walk you through what the book is saying and give some insight on that. So today, chapter 1 is this: how can I live my best life now? Which seems like a really simplistic way to start a conversation.
Sure.
But what she's getting at in the book is just the heart of our culture is really just like a live your best life culture. And that seems really innocent and pure.
Yeah.
But it's actually leads us to a lot of really harmful places.
Sure.
Because the world defines your best life very differently than God does.
Yeah.
And so as we talk through this, we'll just start with kind of the difference between cultural and Christian views. Danny, what would you say are some cultural views on how to live your best life now?
Yeah, I think we were going through our worldview series in Wednesday nights, and we talked about a lot of isms, relativism. I can't remember all the rest of the isms off the top of my head, but one of them that's really big and common in our culture is hedonism, which is just trying to live in pursuit of pleasure. And
Absolutely.
So that means that's where we get things like alcohol, chasing after things like sex and relationships and whatever else. And really just the mindset is I'm going to live life my own way, by my own rules, be who I want to be, do what I want to do, and not let anybody get in the way of that.
Yeah.
And so and I've seen that a lot through college. A lot of people that's just the mentality, because you might arrive at a place of life has no ultimate meaning. When we ask the big questions about God and our origin and meaning and purpose, if life is random, might as well just enjoy it while I'm here and just, I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time, as George Strait would say.
Yeah. the great theologian that he is.
The philosopher.
And that hedonism really it leads us to these follow your heart, do what makes you happy statements, you do you kind of things. In our culture, we're obsessed with freedom in America. And
Amen.
I think that freedom is amazing.
Yeah.
Even just we were watching a funny reel the other day just about how truck commercials are freedom is driving this truck, and you're what are you talking about?
They didn't say we could put fries in a burger, so we put fries in a burger.
And
this is America.
Companies use this idea of freedom.
Yeah.
We have this saying, well, it's a free country. So meaning you can just do whatever you want, apparently. And freedom is good. And the freedom we have in this country, I don't want to degrade it. It
Totally.
is meaningful.
Big fan.
And I'm grateful for it. But it also, this obsession with freedom that we have in American culture leads us to some fallacies that harm us theologically when we need to understand God and the gospel.
Yeah.
So the world's idea would be the less rules you have, the more freedom that you have. How would you respond to that?
Yeah. I think, on a very basic level, it sounds smart, like it sounds wise, like at
least logical, right?
Yeah,
it sounds like, oh, that makes sense. If you don't tell me what to do, then I have freedom because I can do whatever I want to do.
Yeah, but the problem, like where that kind of falls short, is the way the Bible describes that kind of mentality. Is both Jesus and Paul talk about it this way, that you're going to be a slave of something. No matter who you are or where you are going to be a slave of something. You are not fully in control. And so that's something, like you were either a slave of what, we as believers would look to as being a slave of God, of Jesus, and walking through life as a new creation, or you're really just a slave to your own sin and your own desires. And you're just controlled by these other impulses and things that are driving you. That's why, like, we like to talk about free will and stuff like that often. Yeah. And I don't mean to get like super philosophical here, but even taking psychology classes and neuroscience classes and stuff like that through undergrad, like the conversation is like, in a lot of ways, that idea of free will, that I actually have control over my choices, is kind of an illusion, because I'm really just driven by all these wants and needs that I'm trying to fulfill in different ways, whether that's something as practical as food, or something like entertainment or sex or pleasure, enjoyment, whatever you want to add. Those desires are what's driving us to pursue the things that we're doing.
Yeah.
So you're either a slave of one thing or of the other.
Yeah, I think that's super helpful. Realistically, too, like the idea of freedom coming from less boundaries falls apart pretty quickly in a lot of logical ways if we look at it. I think Aaron said in a sermon here recently, like if you think about traffic laws, traffic laws work to provide you the freedom to go drive around and have safety and the ability to commute around the area, where if there were no traffic laws, you'd have less freedom because you would probably end up wrecked or dead. Yeah. And so the boundaries create the freedom. And I think that's a really, really helpful, just really simply logical thing to think through as we approach it then from a biblical standpoint, because that's in a lot of ways what the Bible is saying. When the Bible shows us that through our sin we stand condemned and that price has to be paid, and then God says, but I've created this way through Jesus, that if you would make him the Lord of your life, if you would do things my way and live within my boundaries, you will be free from the bondage of sin. And that's Danny saying you're a slave of something. Like really at the heart of it, like the macro is like you're a slave to the penalty of sin. So no matter what freedom or happiness you find in this life, like that payment is due. And the question is, did Jesus pay that for you, or are you paying it for yourself? And so freedom in Scripture first and foremost wants to point you to eternal freedom from the condemnation that we've earned ourselves through sin. And all other freedom flows through that, because anything you might call freedom in this life apart from the gospel is temporary at best. And
really just another form of slavery, just an illusion.
Absolutely.
Of it. But yeah, like, I mean, the traffic analogy is fantastic. I remember driving through, well, I wasn't driving, but riding in a car through Kathmandu in Nepal, which massive city.
I'm sure there's a lot of really logical traffic laws.
It's just whatever you do, you can do.
Yeah.
If you want to drive on the opposite side of the road, then like go for it, and everyone, make everyone get out of your way. And it's just like there are cars, motorcycles, humans, and other animals like cows and monkeys that just all share the road, and it's just everyone for himself. And like in the lack of that,
and probably the only real law is you can't hit the cows.
Yeah. Well, if you hit a pedestrian, they get really mad.
They get mad, or they're actually laws that.
No, it's like
It's
you're
like
going,
bad
like
news.
they're gonna like pull you out of the car and attack you.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
it's pretty. It's
well,
pretty
that's
intense.
instant
So
justice. Gotcha.
Yeah. But like, it's just complete chaos, and the result of it is it's a system that's so inefficient. Like vehicles move so slowly, traffic just piles up, and then the irony is when you have those spaces where like two major roads kind of come together in an intersection, they have to have a police officer that just like directs all the traffic and like makes one side stop and the other go, because they realize like that's a point where the chaos of no rules
Too much.
just becomes too much, that you need to revert to some form of structure.
Yeah.
And so like the same way, like structure really promotes flourishing. I think that's a big thing that we can talk about when it comes to parenting, that it comes to like how we learn and grow as children or as disciples, even in the workplace. Like you need structure in a job, you need authority, you need hierarchy, you need a boss that's telling you what to do and people that are going to do the things that the boss says. And across all levels, like we need that.
I like that illustration a lot because what it shows is the idea that the lack of structure doesn't promote even less structure. The lack of structure promotes the need for more structure. And that's true in life, and it's also true in like spiritual gospel conversations. Like when we're pointing towards freedom, and you look at verses like in John 8, where we're told the truth will set you free.
Yeah.
The idea is not like in Jesus, like you're unhinged from boundaries. Mm-hmm. It's that you're now within the boundaries that allow you to flourish and experience goodness and experience eternal life.
Yeah.
And the world looks at Christianity and says it's so oppressive. Like there's so many rules. There's so many do this, don't do that. And they think that that's a lack of freedom. Mm-hmm. And when you come to know the hope of Jesus, you realize there is no freedom that compares to the freedom of living within the bounds for which you were created. Go ahead.
And that's what I love about, because also in John 10, Jesus says, I've come that they may have life and life abundant, like life to the fullest, life to the max. And, because like it's easy to look at Christianity as that, like the list of things you have to do and things you should not do. Like it's easy to look at Christianity like, okay, I have to read my Bible, I have to pray, I have to go to church, I have to love my neighbor, I have to give generously, etc. And I have a lot of things that I'm also supposed to avoid and not do. And it sounds like, man, like you're just trying to hold me back. And I think actually like a big place where this comes to a head often is even in the world of dating, because there's a lot of like, hey, here's the things that you cannot do before, that you must not do before marriage.
And that's such a good realm to kind of illustrate it too, because when you take advantage of what you would call freedom in how you approach relationships and things of like the guy-girl sexual nature. Yeah. Like when you try to take what you would call freedom and liberties to act however you want in those things, what you really end up with is this really hard to process brokenness that just leaves you. And we see that glorified in our culture all over the place. Like every show glorifies it.
All the songs, all the music.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's just a big culture around like how much we like it's kind of ironic because like we see it in the culture, like how much we jump into these relationships. Like I knew you were in trouble when you walked in, and then all of a sudden there's breakup songs, and it's like, okay, like duh, right? Like if you knew they were trouble, don't be surprised when you're writing a breakup song right after that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like it's one of the things I hate about Disney shows for like middle schoolers is it just glorifies the relationship, the dating, that like, hey, once you're old enough to like be attracted to the opposite sex, the ultimate happiness is a dating relationship. Yeah. And it's just so like, this is so not helpful for kids to watch this and be told this.
And relationships are great. Like dating is great. Marriage is great.
Yeah.
But I think where we get things wrong with those things, and I think even with other things, is when we're operating outside of the design. Because the world, like even everything we interact with in this world, has a very clear and specific design, right? If I try to use this microphone to brush my dog and brush the fur so he's not shedding it in the house, it's not going to do me any good. It's going to probably mess up the microphone because it's not what it was designed for. It's not how it was designed to use.
Yeah.
But if I use the microphone like this, it works great. If I try to use my dog's brush and plug it in, nothing's going to happen.
When I was little, I had this awesome RC car that could like make like, it could like jump onto the couch and stuff. And like, I just played with it all the time. So my brother loved it and wanted one. So he saved up his money and bought the same model RC car, and it like had like the body could come off and you could put different bodies on it. And so he's like always been really creative. And so he took like, you know, Connects, they're like Legos, but they're different.
Yeah.
He built this massive robot out of Connects and made it where it attached to the RC car. Dude, it was awesome. Like it seemed so good and cool. And we're like laughing. That thing ran for 2 minutes before the motor burned up. And like it was ruined.
Yeah.
Right. Like the logic of our hearts leads us to bad places. Why? Because Jeremiah 17 says that the heart is deceitful. The heart leads us astray. It leads us to wrong places. And so when we adopt the culture idea of follow your heart, we end up with a lot of things, chasing after a lot of things that feel really good up front and end in disaster.
Yeah. And one of my favorite analogies of this whole idea, like life is complicated at the end of the day. Like things are difficult, things are complicated, and understanding the purpose and design behind all these things that we're walking through is vital. So to give an example, there's I forget where this is in the world, but there's a port. I mean, there's several examples of these, I guess, but there are ports where you have a lot of obstacles when you're trying to sail a ship to dock. And you might find like sandbars and rocks and different things that can wreck your ship really easily. And the person who thinks that freedom is the ultimate goal and the thing that I'm trying to pursue and no boundary is no structure will say, you know what, I'm just going to do what I want. And I'm just going to sail my ship in, and they're going to ram it into the sandbars that they don't see or hiding under there. They're going to ram it into the rocks, and it's just going to all fall apart and sink. But what you can do instead is you fly a flag on your ship that will tell you, hey, I need somebody to help me pilot this ship to shore. And there are people that live in the port in those cities that know all of the waters, they know the sandbars, they know all the traps and all the things that can catch you if you're not careful. And so they will row out to your boat, they'll climb on, you'll exchange the flag to another flag that says, you know what, like I'm taken care of now. Someone's here to help me. And then that person will be able to safely navigate the ship to shore. And life is complicated. Life is difficult. There's a lot of landmines everywhere, especially in relationships and dating, but in all these other things that we're chasing after and pursuing. And so if we try to go through our like mantra of freedom and no rules and I can do whatever I want, you're going to ram into those sandbars. And you're going to find yourself broken and shipwrecked and then wonder how you got there. Yeah. But instead, if you in humility raise up that flag and say, you know what, I need somebody, someone who knows and how this is supposed to work. And God is the one who then will come in, hop on the boat, and he will know and help you navigate through the treacherous waters to shore.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's the question of do you want your life to be a series of pursuits of temporary happiness that at the end of the day ends apart from the one hope you have for eternity? Or do you want your life to be defined by lasting joy that can only come from the Creator? Yeah. Because those are really the two options that we're given in this life. Yeah. And the freedom that you think exists in the first part of that is temporary at best. We would all love to just write the book our own way, because really we're all arrogant enough to think we just know what's best all the time for ourselves. God is wise enough to look and say, like, right from the beginning, you sinned and messed up. You don't know what's best for you. I know what's best for you. And I've, in my goodness and in my love, where I could have glorified myself by destroying you. Instead, I made a way that you might flourish and truly be free. Mm-hmm. But that freedom only exists in me. And that's what Jesus has for you. That's why Danny brought up John 10:10 already. Mm-hmm. He says he wants you to have life abundantly. That's an amazing truth to the depth of his love. He doesn't just look in mercy to save you from your sin, but to free you from it and help you live abundantly.
Yeah, and I'll also add this point to it. There's a prosperity gospel preacher. I guess I gotta do the knee slap. Shout out to Riley. There's a prosperity gospel.
Are you supposed to knee slap yourself, or is that I didn't know the rules on this because I've never knee slapped myself when I've said prosperity gospel, but
I guess we gotta ask Riley.
Yeah,
later.
we gotta get the authority to tell us what's going on.
But there's a like prosperity gospel preacher who, very famous. You might know who I'm talking about, but he wrote a book, Your Best Life Now. Yeah. And like, I think also part of what we have to wrestle with the question of like, in Christianity, can I live my best life now? I would say that that's not actually the goal anyway for a believer, because there's the saying that goes that if you are a believer, then this life is the closest, like life here on earth in a broken world that's broken and wrecked by sin and death. This is the closest thing that we will experience to hell, which is awesome. Because that means that like what we look forward to is that like glorious inheritance in the saints, as Paul describes in Ephesians. And so like if you are a believer in Jesus, this life is the worst that you're going to experience, and you're going to look ahead to glory. Where if you're a non-believer, this life is the closest thing you're going to have to heaven, so to speak, if you will. Because what's coming next is complete and total separation from God. And so like, it's not even our goal to live in a broken world, to have our best life here and now. And our goal instead is we are here on a mission to know God, to know Jesus, and then to make him known.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, because that means that like life, when Jesus says he's come to give us life abundant, he doesn't mean he's come to give us an easy, fun, enjoyable life, a nice retirement fund, a nice house that we can then buy, and a boat that we can go sailing on. What he promises us instead is a life that is chocked full of meaning, purpose, mission, and hope.
Yeah.
And so that means that even when things are rough, and when we're going to struggle, we're going to bump into a sandbar here and there as we're sailing through life, there is meaning and there is purpose, and we can trust that he works all things out for the good of those who love him. We can trust that nothing separates us from the love of Christ Jesus, and we look forward to that hope that, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, that we have confidence that in our own salvation, and that we will reach, God will bring us to the end goal.
Yeah.
And so like, that doesn't, like, my goal shouldn't be that life is going to be the most fun that it can be right now, because at the end of the day, we're missing sight of our goal and purpose if we're living that way.
Yeah. If you're struggling with the idea that, like, I think it's easy to be like, look, I hear all that, but life would be easier if I had a bunch of money, and life would be easier if I had this, and life would be easier if I didn't have this obstacle. And I mean, in ways that's true, but what we also see is like the celebrities, the people who have everything that we think life has to offer, regularly are struggling with depression. And like, one of the things that rocked me a lot was because I just loved Robin Williams movies when I was growing up, and like, just such a funny comedian. It seemed like a dude who just loved life. And when he took his own life, it just, like, stories like that just show like you can have everything this world has to offer, and it still just doesn't compare to what you were designed, what you were created for. And so you're not going to find satisfaction until you have that. And if you find satisfaction in Jesus, and he chooses to bless you with a ton of money in your bank account, cool. I'm happy for you. I hope you use that to build the kingdom of God. Yeah. But if you love Jesus and your path in life is poverty, I hope you use that to build the kingdom of God, because the perspective of the believer is not that this life is a rat race to gain as much as you can, but that this life is meant to draw near to Jesus every chance that you get, and to experience his goodness in the worst day of your life, in the best day of your life. And as the New Testament just says over and over again, looking forward to that day of hope. And when the New Testament says that, it can use as a capital D, meaning like the day that Jesus returns, or the day that he calls you home, knowing there is in his freedom so much hope for eternity. And this 60, 70, 80 years we have in this life is not anything compared to what is waiting for us ahead. And we can live through every day with that hope.
Yeah. And like Paul says in 1 Corinthians 7, he talks about relationships, sexual immorality, dating, marriage, all those things. And he says, I'm saying these things like I'm laying down these rules and guidelines, not to lay a restraint on you, not to hold you back, but to promote what is appropriate. And that ties into all of those things that, time is short. We're here for a moment, we're gone the next. And we have a purpose that we're living for. And so we ought to align our life with what is the ultimate storyline of human history, of mankind, and of our lives that God is writing.
Absolutely. All right. Well, hey, that's chapter 1. We will spend some more time going through the rest of the book. If you would like to read the book, we have it here in our church library. You can check it out. I can help you get a copy if you need it. Really helpful read on just how to navigate life and think through things. Yeah. If you got questions, reach out to us. Thanks for joining us today. Y'all stay close to Jesus. We'll see you next time.